going on, everybody? Give me a minute. I gotta. Matt, yeah, you and me both hate turkeys. Oh, I'm a little behind the 8 ball tonight. As you can probably tell, I'm still trying to screw with this microphone. Ah, there we go. All right. My goodness. I've got all this set up and I don't have a drink, and that light is very bright. About to blind me. I am behind the 8 ball, ladies and gentlemen. Life comes at you fast. Pardon me while I run away from here. I'm gonna go grab let's see here, Lagunitas IPA. And I'll be right back. I got goodies to show you guys tonight. Woo! You know, it's funny though, I'm gonna run away, but I can talk to you guys the whole time. You can't see me. You're accompanying me from the deck into the garage to grab an ice cold beer. Don't trip over anything in the dark, which I already have. I should have brought my flashlight, but I left it on the desk. All right. Making my way back. Almost back to the screen here. Boom. All right. Getting a little late start. We'll be all right. Let's everybody with a loud exhaust get past the house. All right. Matt, tell me, why do you hate turkeys so much? It can't be that they seem next to impossible to kill. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're impossible to kill. They're a bit rough. Well, let me get this pipe going real quick. Let's hear it. Santa Claus. Never thought I'd talk to the man himself. Matt says, I've chased the same damn turkey every weekend of turkey season. He outsmarted me every step of the way, except the morning. He flew straight to me and landed 20 yards from me. Why didn't you kill him then? That's the better question. All right. So I've hit the record button. I've got a nice bowl of Bayou Morning going. And we're talking about EDC, like the everyday carry. But I'm mainly talking about what I carry into the woods. Yeah, Matt, you're right. Yeah, make sure the chamber's closed all the way before you try to shoot, or it's not going to go off. That's a very good lesson. So, as I sit here tonight, I'm enjoying a nice bowl of Bayou Morning, and I've got a Lagunitas IPA, and I'm going over the stuff that is always on my person, whether it's hunting, scouting, camping, so on. And I make sure it's this is one of the things. I'll start with something that's redundant. I actually grabbed this out of my drawer because I have more than one, but I keep this on my backpack. I don't necessarily carry it on my person everywhere when I go, but this is a little thermometer, right? Because we have weather, which is great, weather apps, but they're not always exactly accurate to where you're at. So this is telling me right now it's about 80 degrees from sitting inside the pocket of my bag there. I'm sure it'll drop a little bit as we're sitting here, but I carry a thermometer. Oh, Tyke is coming in with a straight Virginia in the pipe and fingers of a Lefroy Select. I have not been able to get my hands on some of that Lefroy Select yet. I am a bit jealous. But my everyday carry in the woods goes a lot deeper than a thermometer. But a thermometer is something just like this little tag thermometer. This one is Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires. I don't remember what kind of I have on my backpack. But it's very small like this. I don't think the one on my pack contains a compass. And let's see. This compass does actually point pretty well north, so that's good stuff. But I have a spare, right, and it lives in my drawer in the bedroom for sake of not bringing my whole hunting backpack out here. But we're going to talk about some no-brainer essentials first, right? Besides that, like a hunting license. Make sure if you're going hunting, you have your hunting license on you, whether it be on your phone. Hot tip, I have mine on the app on the phone. I stopped buying into the hard card thing, and I started screenshotting it, which I guess is kind of a good thing. I didn't buy a hard card this time around because the state of Florida upped them to like $10 a piece, which I think is a bit ridiculous. And I used to always carry the paper license when I could buy it at Bass Pro Shops, but I can't do that anymore. Or not Bass Pro Shops, Walmart. I don't know that I've ever bought a license at Walmart. But in your weapon and your ammo, I could tell you a quick story about that. I got all the way to where we were going to park the side-by-side one morning, and then realized I left the magazine to my M1A at camp, and I had to drive back the 15 minutes to camp to pick it up. And then by the time I got back to the woods, it was right at daybreak. And as I was walking into the ladder stand I was going to sit in, I saw a nice buck walk what would have been directly under my ladder right at daybreak. Couldn't tell at that time if it was legal for the property we were hunting on, so I didn't shoot. Kind of regret that, but live and let live. Let's see what I got on here that I don't already have in my bag. A charged phone, reportable charger. I mean, that's pretty. A strap with a thermometer on one end and a compass on the other. That's pretty good. Scent control. Spray, wipes, special clothing. If you're scent sensitive, I'm not a scent sensitive type of person. Great example. The wind right now is blowing at my back. Watch. I've done let my pipe go out. It's blowing straight this way. So if I'm going to hunt, I'm going to face this way because the wind is blowing in my face. And that is the best scent control you can have, hands down. So we'll talk about clothing, weather appropriate layers. I think in Florida, one of the biggest things you can always carry, especially in the Southeast, is rain gear. Have good quality rain gear. I've had rain gear my entire life, but I think later on I purchased some better. I'll get to that in a minute, Jay. I purchased quality rain gear, and I didn't realize how much better quality rain gear was versus like the cheap rain gear. And I've had like the rain gear I have now ran me like $100 for the jacket, $100 for the pants, and I've sat there in a torrential downpour and still come out of that dry. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not breathable, but it'll keep you dry when it rains. So, water and snacks. I always try to keep a couple bottles of water. I take a big, have like a big 32-ounce Nalgene bottle that I carry in my bag when it's hot out. Gloves are hit or miss. I have thicker gloves when it's cold out, and I like a good insulated leather glove. I think they work well. A fire starter kit, which we'll get to that. I have one in my bag, multiple different fire starters. Rope, which it says, specifically more paracord, which is great. I actually have a 30-foot pull-up rope made of what's called survival cord. And it's like, so your paracord has a 550-pound breaking strength. The survival cord is like 770, but it also includes like a 10-pound monofilament line in the guts of it, plus a Kevlar line that'll allow you to like tie up meat and hang it over a fire. It won't burn really easy. There's a few other great lines woven into that guts of it that you can pull it apart and use them really well. But let's go ahead and dive into, we talked about clothing too. Another thing that I carry in the wintertime is I have a puffy jacket, which balls up really well, and I keep it in the bottom of my backpack. I have recently focused on circulation over insulation and wearing looser fitting warm clothing, and I found that I stay warmer in a lot different environments, and I'm more comfortable longer that way than I am trying to bundle up really well. But I keep that puffy down on the bottom just in case I get cold. I have one more layer, and that puffy jacket has served me really well in all kinds of environments. So let's dive into my chest pack. Okay, I like this FHF Gear chest rig, and some of the things that are always with me. Take off the stuff that's not, so that's not always there. And this is not always, it's not on the chest rig, it's in my pocket. So for starters, keeping a good sharp knife. Okay. And I have recently switched away from a folding knife in my pocket to pocket carrying a small fixed blade knife. This is a Essie Izula 2. It's a small USA made fixed blade that you can get. I think I paid about 80 bucks for it. It comes with a different sheath. I bought this one on Etsy for pocket carry for like 40 bucks, I think, and it works well. And I carry it in my pocket just like you would a pocket knife. And I haven't noticed any difference from daily pocket carry between this and a regular folding knife. But this allows for a little more versatility. Being a fixed blade, there is no hinge, and it's a great size knife for skinning. Fits in the hand well. It's small, but not too small. Good and sharp. So far, I like this knife. I've really just started carrying it recently, so we'll put it through its paces this next year, and I'll tell you what I think about it at the end of the year. I may end up switching to something else. So we dive into the actual kit. The first thing, we'll start with the outside. So the first thing you'll see is Jay just brought up a tourniquet. I always have more than one tourniquet on me when I'm in the woods, but I always have one readily accessible. So this here on the bottom is a tourniquet. And when I wear this, and that tourniquet is not only there, but it's prepped for use. So it's already been kind of maxed out as much as I can. It's big enough that I can slip it over my leg up to my upper thigh and then tighten it down. I don't have to, work it loose or anything like that to get it around my thigh. And then also on the outside, I have a cutter. This is a Benchmade cutter that I've had for years. It's a seatbelt cutter, but if you're ever stuck in a situation where you're hanging from a lifeline of sorts, like out of a tree stand, and you absolutely have to cut yourself loose, having something like that on your person could also save your life, because you get up in those. If you fall out of a tree stand and you're hanging from your safety harness, that in and of itself will kill you. It's not a fun way to go. I carry some turkey calls all the time. Not because I'm a turkey hunter, but because I like to hunt turkeys, but I suck at it. But if I'm going to move through dry leaves, I like to provide a reason for the noise that I'm making. No exhaust in this county. So I'll give a little putt, little cluck as I'm moving through the leaves. So that way the deer are like, man. The idea is the deer think it's just a turkey scratching, moving, whatever else, because there's a lot of things in the woods that make racket, right? But I need to give a reason for the racket, so hence the turkey calls. Now we dive into the inside of this here pouch. When I'm deer hunting, I've got my houndstooth game call. It could draw predators, but when a coyote shows up, it turns into a coyote hunt. I've got a houndstooth game call, Osage Orange grunt call. This was given to me as a gift by our main show sponsor, Hasmar Outdoor Products, for Christmas a couple years ago. And it sounds absolutely fantastic. I've always had a plastic grunt tube up until this one. And I don't know that after this I could ever go back to a plastic grunt tube. This grunt tube sounds just absolutely phenomenal. We'll forgive you, Jackie. I see you're a little late. It's okay. You are forgiven. So if we go from there, Talk about a flashlight. This right here is a Streamlight Micro Stream. It runs on 1 AAA. And if I told you this was hunting everyday carry, it's true, but it's also in my pocket every single day. So it's pretty bright. I wonder if I can... There's my orange tree back there. It's bright enough, and it clips to your hat, as well as stays clipped in your pocket. It's got a little S-clip on it. So it stays in my left pocket at all times. We go from there. You've heard me many times talk about the green laser pointer, right? And the effectiveness of the green laser pointer for keeping people who are encroaching on your public land spot away. So, of course, that's in my bag. You guys thought I was joking, but I'm 100% serious. And it's just a laser pointer, and it's rechargeable. I got this off the TikTok shop because I lost my old one, but it has a USB plug on the back. So it just plugs in. I think I paid like $30 for it, and it's super bright. And then on top of that, I've got just a regular green light. I prefer green over red. And here's something that I think is slept on in a lot of instances that I carry on me because I found them very useful. I have a large safety pin. Buttons break on shirts, zippers break on jackets. Having a good large safety pin allows me to get in to thicker clothing and keep things closed, help keep the wind out. And I just keep that right here in my chest pack. I gotta keep putting stuff back in here as I go so I don't lose anything. And then I've got a face mask, which I have 2 of these. I have one in my chest pack. You see me using my light here. And one in my backpack in case, I don't have one or the other. I keep a headband for, gets a little hot and the hat wants to come off. So the headband goes on, keeps the sweat and my hair out of my face in the summertime. I say summertime, in the early fall here in the southeast. Especially during bow season, and some of this stuff is also situationally dependent. Like if we're talking bow season, not only am I going to have all this stuff, I'm going to have my finger tab that I shoot, I shoot a recurve or a longbow, so I'll have a finger tab. And then I also carry additional fingers in my backpack. That way if I drop my finger tab somewhere, I've got the fingers in the backpack. So let's see what else I got in here. Oh, this is a given, okay? I always try to bring extra. If you don't know what this is butt wipe, okay? This is my emergency butt wipe. It stays in here because I've had to go without butt wipe before and have sacrificed part of tube socks, sleeves of shirts, emergency butt wipe. And then we dive into binos. So I've got a pair of Vortex Diamondback 10x42s. I've had these for many years. I like the Vortex because they've got a great warranty. I think these are plenty clear enough for what I'm doing. They fit in there with all this other crap. I've got a nice FHF Gear makes what's called a bino bucket, which is Velcroed to the, it has a hook side hooked to the loop side that's on the back of this chest rig here. And in the back of this, here's some things we don't think about. So I have a signal mirror that I keep, stays in. It's plastic, so it doesn't get scratched up. As you can see, it's pretty good and reflective. And I have a nice Sunto compass. Okay, these will run you about 50 or 60 bucks. At least it did when I bought this one. I'm not sure what they run now. I'm sure they're probably a little more expensive. But Suunto makes a great compass, and you can pick these up in many different forms for fairly cheap. But they're worth the expense, right? Because you can't put a price on knowing which way is north and how to get yourself out of a shitty situation. And the reason you carry a signal mirror is so that if you have to call for rescue, you can signal your location. That signal mirror has a little hole in the center, which you would use to aim it. So if you had overhead aircraft that were looking for you, if you're calling for a rescue or whatever, you would use that hole to aim towards the aircraft and then tilt the mirror back and forth, and it makes a nice flash as they go overhead, so they can find you. Now, this Bayou morning's a bit dry, it doesn't want to stay lit. Okay. And then a multi-tool. Just your average run-of-the-mill multi-tool. I fixed more things with that than probably should have been fixed, but that is the epitome of good enough for government work. Matt hunts 20 yards from the road, no mirror needed. I have also hunted 20 yards from the road and then got off to wander to look for something, and then found myself in a bottom where I had no idea which way was north. Even had a GPS, but it didn't have like roads on it. I didn't have any waypoints saved. So I had to pick a direction and walk, knowing that eventually I'd hit a road. And I came out about 600 yards down the road from my truck, so I chose the right direction. But you never know. I mean, it's too easy to get turned around in the woods. Now, this wasn't here in Florida. This was in Kentucky, but nonetheless, I think it's even easier to get turned around here. Everything's pines and palmettos. You don't go deep. We all know better. This right here is something that is slept on, all right? This is just a regular Bic lighter, but as you can see, I've got duct tape wrapped around it really well. So this gives me about 100 feet of duct tape. Duct tape can be used as a Band-Aid, can be used to close a wound, can be used to do 100 different things. And on top of that, I want to say it has a anesthetic. Part of the glue in there is anesthetic, so it relieves pain. Maybe I said that wrong, but duct tape has 100 uses. So there's no reason not to take a lighter and a good roll of duct tape, just peel it off, wrap it around your lighter. Plus it helps start a fire if you needed to. See, make sure it still lights. Oh yeah, there's flame there, it's just a bit windy. So toss it back in the bag. This is my go-to fire starter. And then I also have flint and steel. Or I say flint and steel, I have a ferro rod. And then I have several of these little guys. So these are made by Night Eyes. You can pick them up at like Lowe's or Home Depot. And it's just rubber coated wire. I've used this to tie off blind material to the tree stand, tie off blind material in the duck blind, make things stick to my chest pack, hold stuff together. They fold up. They're, as you can see, they're about 6, probably 5 inches long. I fold them in half, and I've got 5 or 6 of them in my chest pack. They're tiny. I keep a longer one in my backpack that's like 18 inches long. They're really, really useful for 100 different things, and they're cheap. So there's no reason not to keep them on your, and they weigh nothing, you know. Keep them on your person. So, and this next thing I'm going to talk about is something that is kind of could potentially be in the near future pushed out, right? So because of the latest advancements in iPhone technology, this is a Garmin InReach, okay? This is the InReach Mini 2, and it allows me to flip open, where's it at? Flip this button open right here, hit it, and it sends an SOS. And it also allows me to text my family without phone signal, Bluetooth to my cell phone when I don't have phone signal, and I can text back and forth. Now, with the latest and greatest iPhone, which I now have, you can also send text messages via satellite with what's old Elon's company, Starlink. So you can hit the Starlink satellites and send text messages, which is pretty cool, and would essentially, if that's the case, other than the fact that, you know, Garmin has the most satellites GPS-wise in space, I can text and try and get help. But this is probably a more direct link. This is monitored, and what I like about the InReach is I don't have to have a yearly plan. I can pay like $14 a month, 1 month at a time. It's only a month-to-month plan. So if I know that I'm going to be out of town the next month, I'm going to go into the backcountry. I take this on the Swanee trip because we run out of signal here and there. And for $14, it provides me with peace of mind that I can just flip that little switch on the side, hit it, and I'm going to get emergency response to my location. And this is going to continue to track my location. On top of that, I've got a Garmin Instinct 2 Solar that also will pair to this, and I can make this, the watch, send the same messages, and I can keep track of everything with the watch, which is great. I like Garmin products because Garmin products communicate with each other, and you just can't beat that. So, then we get into something that's with me everywhere I go, not always directly on my person, but in my bag. Let me get this pipe going one more time. And this is something that I got from the Army. This is an individual first aid kit. Okay, so I have another tourniquet right here. This bag I bought off Amazon, and I put the guts. Yeah, you're right, Jackie. If the iPhone gets wet and it's ruined, the InReach will still work regardless of the iPhone, and it's a lot more durable, you know, than your iPhone is. So you could break an iPhone in a fall, but this might survive. So it's good to have a backup. And it could die. It's going to die a lot faster. I bet. I haven't charged this thing in months, and I bet it still turns on. Let's see. I don't even remember where the power button is. It's been so long since I messed with it. Yeah, see? It's been... And here it is telling me I don't have an active subscription. So, but it's been months, and I have... I bet it's been close to a year since I charged it, and I have 54% battery life. So this is an IFAC. I bought this pack off of Amazon, and it works really well to the fact that I can grab the red handle, yank, and the whole thing comes open. So these are the guts that I took with me from the Army. Inside of here, in this little pouch, I've got a little bit of everything, right? There's more duct tape. As I told you, it's very useful. I've got a bandage here that can be used as a bandage or a sling. I've got gauze. I've got a compression bandage, more gauze down here, permanent marker for writing time and date on a tourniquet. There's an eye guard, eye patch if you injure your eye. I mean, everything's in here, you name it. I'm sure you can find on the interwebs what is inside of an IFAC. In addition to that, I have, well, this also came with it. This is a chest seal for a sucking chest wound. which would happen if you took a gunshot wound. And then this stuff is called Bleed Stop. It's not Quick Clot. This is made from potatoes, believe it or not. Quick Clot will burn the ever-loving shit out of you. It creates an exothermic reaction that cauterizes wounds. This is like putting flour on a bad bleed. It just causes it to clot faster. And this expires in 2027, so it's still good for a couple more years. But this Bleed Stop does not do that. It's FDA cleared, safe in the wound, used by hospitals, first responders, keep your children and family safe, a first aid necessity. And I carry this IFAC, which stands for Individual First Aid Kit, with me everywhere I go, camping, whatever else. If I'm camping, if I'm going on the river, it's in the boat. Or if I'm camping, it's always nearby in the truck. I have in the past used pressure dressings when I stabbed myself. Not proud of that, but it happens. And it's just, shit happens, but you have to be prepared. What I would also encourage you to, if you're going to carry first aid stuff, is to take a class in first aid and understand how to use it. Because a tourniquet is only as good as it's applied. As well as any other bit of first aid. So you need to make sure you understand what you're doing when you're trying to apply first aid to yourself or to others. In the instance of a bad situation where you have multiple people hurt, you need to take care of yourself first, because you can't help anybody else if you pass out. So take care of your own wounds, then take care of theirs. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, especially if it's your kids. And at that point, in my opinion, I'm conducting triage. If my wounds are far less than my children, I'm taking care of my children first. But you need to take care, make sure that you're staying in the fight and ability to help those kids or anyone around you before you go try to take care of anybody else, because especially if you're the trained responder. There's plenty of wilderness first aid classes across the state of Florida, across Southeast, across the U.S. that you can go and take, and they'll help you understand how to apply tourniquets and everything else. And you're right, Jackie. You can use, if you have a FSA, you can buy first aid kits with your FSA card. And you put them in your cars, in your gear. Just keep them around the house. You're right. That stuff is good to have all over the place. Anything else I carry on my person? Extra batteries, which I don't have in here, and I don't usually leave in my kit, and I try to remember to put in there, and also throw in an extra flashlight. Batteries, a couple extra AAAs for this micro stream, which you can pick up for like $15. I had the rechargeable version, and I liked it. It's a lot brighter, but it just dies, and then you have to recharge it. If this dies, I can put a new battery in it. The rechargeable version looked like it would take a AAA. I never tried to put a AAA in it to see if it would work. I don't know. I lost it. I've lost probably 5 of these, and I prefer replacing these $15 versions over the $40 rechargeable version. But none of this stuff is necessarily things you have to have. It's things I like to have. Like the thermometer, for instance. I grew up watching, my dad always had a thermometer on his backpack. And so I've carried one, but I find myself constantly sitting in the tree. And I'm like, man, it feels freezing cold. And I reach over, you look at your phone, it says, oh, it's 43. And you look down at your thermometer and it says it's 36. Well, yeah, it's colder in the bottom than wherever the local radio station is. Rechargeable stuff has its place. Jackie said rechargeable stuff sucks. I just carry extra batteries. Some rechargeable stuff's not bad. My watch is rechargeable, but it lasts about 30 days on a charge, being it has, or Jake Bigby said rechargeable stuff sucks. The watch lasts about 30 days on one charge, and it's also solar, so I can leave it out there It says 30 days. It says it's got 15 days left. I don't remember the last time I charged it. Batteries do travel better than the electrical grid. But like I said, you talk about rechargeable stuff. This Garmin InReach has been sitting in a drawer for a year uncharged and without having had a charge put to it, and it's at 50%. Now it's been powered off, obviously not powered on, but it holds a charge pretty well. And I would always make sure to charge this before I went out and charge it as often as I can if I'm using it to communicate, with text messages and stuff like that. I would also think about, throwing a whetstone in your bag, learning how to use a whetstone and throw it in your pack if you're going to carry a quality knife, because a knife is not worth anything if it's not sharp. So learn how to use a whetstone, throw a good stone in your bag. .550 cord. I've got some alcohol lens wipes in my bag, which I didn't pull out, which I guess could be used if you needed to clean a wound, but I use them mainly to clean my lenses of things when it gets nasty, cameras and binoculars and sunglasses. But I also have a little lens wipe here that hangs off the side that fits in that little pouch for wiping off stuff like that. So I like things that have more than one use. And having redundancies. I carry this, but I also have a headlight. And then I have the green light. And the headlight is also green. But this is in my pocket, like I said, every day. So if I forget the headlight, this is always there. It's something I carry with me every day. And this knife is with me every day. So it's not necessarily part of my hunting kit. I actually have a skinning knife in my backpack that stays in there all the time that I don't take out unless I'm skinning something with it. And I carry a small whetstone in my backpack. I don't carry that in my chest bag. But things to think about. I also have some trauma shears on the outside of this bag, which I didn't talk about. Not a necessity, but nice to have. Cutting clothing or whatever else if you had to. But yeah, I think that's about it for as far as my everyday carry of the hunting world. That and maybe some milkweed seeds, checking the wind. There's your scent. Got to have the right, scent, a windicator of some kind. Whether you're using that little chalk in a tube. I like the milkweed seeds because you can see them float a lot further than you can watch that chalk go. But, yeah. I think that about sums it up. You guys got any more questions? We'll hang out here for a little bit and go from there. Other smart items. Yeah, water, or emergency whistle, flask. Depends on how far you are from the truck, I'd have to say take. I have a flask. I've been searching for a better flask. Not a fan of the one that I have. I have an emergency whistle in the canoe. What is the absolute must carry in my everyday kit? A knife. I don't know if that's a must for everybody, but I feel naked when I don't have a knife. I just went to Disney World Friday, and obviously you can't get a knife in there. I can't tell you how many times, yeah, a knife. How many times I was like, oh, I can open. No, I can't. I don't have a knife. I feel naked without a knife. And then I have the redundant knife in the bag. So that if, and even, that's funny I bring that up because even in my pickup truck, I carry this in my chest pack. But in my pickup truck, in the center console, I have a backup knife in case I somehow forget this knife at the house. I've got a pocket knife in there. Then in my work truck, I also have a backup knife in the center console in case I forget this knife. At work, I carry this knife as well as a Milwaukee box cutter blade because I don't like to use this knife to do things that aren't necessarily knife tasks. This is not a screwdriver. This is not a pry bar. This is a cutting tool. And that's what a knife should be used for, is a cutting tool. I think people forget that. So understand, if you ask me, do you have a knife? And I say, what do you need it for? That's why. I've had too many people borrow a knife to use as a screwdriver or pry bar. There's have no fear. If you need a screwdriver, might have one of those too. And this whole kit here probably weighs maybe 5 pounds, but it fits, right here on the chest, and it's got everything I need in it. I don't really notice it. Sometimes when I get up in the tree, I take it off. A lot of times I don't. It's comfortable. FHF Gear has a new rig out that has better straps on it and has, in my opinion, it's just all around better. It has better webbing and stuff on it, and attachment points, and I may buy one of those. I like it, and if I get one of those, I'll take this and change it to, they've got a setup to transfer this to like a hip rig, which would be great for small game hunting. And don't get me wrong, I changed some of this stuff out for small game season. I'll empty out the right side of it because the binoculars sit to the left, and the right side, I can fit a whole box of 20 gauge shells down in there. Yeah, the wind-up flashlights. In a hurricane, I wouldn't have to be out in the woods going to try and see. But the whole right side of this, I can fit a whole box of 20 gauge shells in there and just reach in there and grab from the box to load a shotgun back up, or 22 or whatever else I want to put in there. And don't discount binoculars when it comes to small game hunting. Those are, they'll make or break a squirrel hunt. They can on a tough day. Sitting down against a tree, just looking up with binoculars, scanning until you find one of them little suckers sitting up there. Well, I'm going to shut this down and clean up this giant mess I've created out here of hunting gear all over this table. And we'll catch you guys next week. You guys have a good night.